Hello students, today in this video we are going to discuss about the aggregates related to national income. To understand the national income in a better way, we need to know its aggregates. So first of all, let us talk about national income. That what is this national income? National income is a sum of money value of net flow of all the goods and services produced by the normal residents of a country during an accounting year. So whenever we talk about national income or the income concept, it is a flow concept. So you have to add the period of time for which we are calculating. First thing you have to remember that you have to always mention the accounting period along with the income. Second thing which you have to notice here is that it says that it is the goods and services produced by the normal residents of a country. That means even if the normal residents are living within the country or they are living outside the country, irrespective of that, they should be normal resident, and if they are earning, if they are contributing in the production activity, then that will be taken into national income. So in other words, you can also mention it as it is a sum of factory income, that is rent, interest, wages and profit earned by normal resident. Again, you have to see that normal residents are earning these factory incomes in an accounting year. It is calculated both in gross and net and market price and factor cost. But remember this, NNPFC, that means net national product at factor cost, means national income. And others are just their related aggregates, that is GNP, MP, GNP, FC or NNP-MP. They are the related aggregates to national income, and NNP-FC is actually the national income. Next concept is domestic income. Domestic income, it is the sum of money value of net flow of all the goods and services produced within the domestic territory of a country during an accounting year. This time you have to see that you're talking about domestic territory of a country. That means the major difference between domestic income and national income is that there we were talking about the normal resident of a country in the national income, whereas in this concept we are talking about that it is generated or it is earned or it is produced within the domestic territory. So that means inside the domestic territory, maybe it is earned by a normal resident or by a non-Indian resident. That means if you're talking about India, that means people from other countries, they are coming here, they are contributing to the production, and that is also taken into consideration in the domestic income. Whereas in the national income, we don't consider that. We consider only the contributions made by the normal resident of a country. This can also be defined as it is a sum of factory income, that is rent, interest, wages and profit earned within the domestic territory of a country during an accounting year. Again, you need to consider domestic territory, need not to forget that. Now, it is also calculated in gross and net, and it is also calculated in market price and factor cost. But NDP, net domestic product at factor cost, is what you call it as domestic income. And others like GDP MP, GDP FC or NDP MP, they will be taken as the related aggregates to domestic income. See, these are the related aggregates what we are talking about. On the domestic front, we have got 4, and in the national front, we have got 4. So 4 related aggregates of each. The first, I'll take the domestic. First one is gross domestic product at market price. Second is net domestic at market price. Third is gross domestic at factor cost. And last is net domestic product at factor cost, which you will call it as domestic income. In the national front, again we have got four. The first one is gross national product at market price. Second is net national product at market price. Third is gross national product at factor cost. And last is your net national product of at factor cost. That is what you call it as national income. So how they are related and how we are going to proceed with the treatment to arrive at different positions, that we can understand with the help of the formula. But before the formula, we proceed to the three basic formulas, which is very important for the estimation of national income and domestic income and its related aggregates. So first of all, it is depreciation. You've already covered depreciation in the last video. Depreciation is the reduction in the value of assets, maybe due to normal wear and tear or expected obsolescence. So that depreciation is very, very normal and natural in the process of production, and that occurs in the capital goods. So if we are talking about the total value of goods and services, that is, you're talking about suppose domestic income or you're talking about national income, so you're talking about the sum total of value of goods and services. So the value of goods and services, if we are taking, that means for that purpose some kind of reduction in the value of capital has taken place due to the production, that is resulted into increase in the value of goods, or you can say that is addition to the value of goods. That depreciation we need to deduct from the total value what we have arrived at. So depreciation is deducted from gross, and that is how we get net. So don't forget, whenever there is a concept of gross, we have to deduct depreciation and thus we get net. And on the other hand, if we have got net and we want to come to gross, or we have to arrive at gross, what we will be doing? We will be adding depreciation. And if depreciation is 0, that means gross and net will be equal. The second important formula is the treatment of net indirect taxes. This is actually taken to calculate factor cost or market price. That means if any value is at the market price, we can minus NIT to arrive at factor cost, and if any value is at factor cost, then we have to add NIT to arrive at market price. This factor cost and market price, what is it exactly? Market price is actually the value of commodities, goods and services at the prices prevailing in the market. So when commodities are sold, when the goods are sold in the market, that is sold at some kind of price which is fixed in the market. So that becomes your market price. So when we estimate or calculate the value of goods and services on the prices prevailing in the market, so that value, that estimation is always at market price. And factor cost, on the other hand, is the expenditure incurred on employing the 4 factors of production. In other words, when producer uses 4 factors of production, the contribution for them is the total value of goods and services produced by the producer, and that is equally divided among the 4 factors of production after deducting the various deductions, various expenditures that are incurred in the production activity on, say, intermediate goods or depreciation or taxes. So apart from that, if we deduct the if we deduct the depreciation and all, so whatever amount is left with the producer, that is distributed among the four factors of production in the form of factor income, and because this is an expenditure incurred by the producer, so we call it as factor cost. So the difference between the two is NIT, and if NIT is 0, then it is equal. NIT. Now what is this NIT? NIT is basically the difference between indirect tax and subsidies. Indirect tax is actually the payment made by the producers to the government in the form of tax, whereas subsidies are the expenditures made by the government and it is the receipt of the producer. Government provides this kind of receipts, this kind of benefits to the producer to encourage and motivate them. So that is why it is an income, sort of income to the producer, whereas taxes are the sort of expenditure to the producer. Hence, the indirect taxes are deducted and subsidies are added to arrive at factor cost. So if we want to calculate NIT, it is IT minus subsidies. So when we put in the formula, the subsidy becomes plus and the IT becomes minus. So thus we get NIT as minus. Last in this is net factor income from abroad. Net factor income from abroad is factor income earned by the non-resident Indians abroad minus factor income earned by non-Indian residents. So there is a difference. That means factor income from abroad is adding to our income, whereas factor income to abroad is deducting our income. Factor income abroad is earned by the normal resident of the country who are working in other countries, whereas factor income to abroad are the incomes which are earned by other people, other countries' nationals in the country where they are residing, that is India. If they are residing, so they are earning there. So that difference we have to consider, and this NFIA, net factor income from abroad, is added in the domestic income to arrive at national. And if we want to arrive at domestic, so national, we deduct NFIA, so we arrive at domestic. So this is your 3 basic formulas. Now let us see the interrelationship between different aggregates. Be very careful about the arrows. It shows the direction of the various reductions and additions to be made to arrive at the related aggregates. So if we start from GNP MP and we want to arrive at GNP FC, NIT is deducted. See, the arrow is downward. That means downward arrow indicates that there is a deduction in the that particular transaction, or you can say in that particular estimation. So that need to be considered. In the same way, if we move from GNPFC to GDPFC, that means if we wanted to reach GDPFC, from GNPFC, we have to deduct NFIA. Again, remember, N and D is to be changed. Rest of the other alphabets are same. So N and D need to be focused. So that is very important. You have to consider that. So that is why N and D is always changed by NFIA. So here we have to deduct because we are already in the national and we have to arrive at domestic. So we have to deduct NFIA. If we move forward further from GDPFC to NDPFC, here the difference is of G and N. That means we are at gross and we have to arrive at net. So what we will be doing? We will be deducting depreciation from gross to come to GDP. Now from GDP, we want to move from NDP-FC to NDP-MP. We are at NDP-FC, that is domestic income, and we wanted to arrive at NDP-MP. Now we are at factor cost and we have to arrive at market price. So what we have to do, we have to add NIT. Now we are moving upward. So the direction of flows will be on the positive side. So that is why everything will be added. So in this direction, if whatever we are taking, we have to keep on adding. NDP-FC, from NDP-MP, we are going to arrive at NNP-MP. So here the difference is of again D and N. We are already at D and we have to reach at N. What we have to do? We have to add NFIA. And from NNP-MP, we want to go to GNP-MP. So what we have to do? Everything is correct, only it is a matter of G and N. So we have to add depreciation. So this is how the various flows need to be understood by you. Here in the center, it is GDP MP. And from the GDP MP, if we wanted to arrive at GDP FC, what we have to do? We have to deduct NIT. In the same way, if we are at GNPFC and we want to arrive at NNPFC, what we have to do? We have to deduct depreciation. Remember, all the arrows moving downward is indicating the negative side. Now, here there are two options which are open for you to decide and tell me how you're going to estimate that. From GNP MP and from you have to arrive at GDP MP. From GNP MP, you have to arrive at GNP MP. So you're not going to tell me what you're going to do. From the top to the next one, that is GDP MP. The difference is of national and domestic. So what you'll do, you're going to deduct NFIA because you're already at national and you have to arrive at domestic. So what you're going to do, you're going to deduct NFIA. In the same way, look at the down NDP-FC, that is domestic income. From domestic income, we have to reach to NNPFC, that is national income. Now just tell me what you're going to do. Yes, here the concept is of DNN. So DNN means again NFIA. So here we are going to, the arrow shows upward direction. So we have to add. That is NFIA is going to be added. So that is how you have to understand the relation between these related aggregates so that you can arrive at the two required information, and that is your national and domestic, which is very, very important to calculate and estimate the economic condition of the country. Now this can be derived in the formula, and it is derived here. You can see very well that GDP is gross domestic product at market price, and if we deduct from that from GNP MP, we are going to deduct NFIA, so we arrive at GDP at MP. And next is your GDP MP is equal to NNPFC plus DEP. Again, you have to be very, very careful regarding the concept that the G, N, this matters. I mean, these are the things you have to see. The first alphabet G, and you are starting from N. That means there's a difference of depth. So what you are going to do, you have to come to gross from net. So you are going to add depth. Then take the next one. The second letter shows D, and here you are starting from national. You are going to arrive at domestic. So what are you going to do? You are going to minus NFIA. And last but not the least, that is MP and FC. So you are going to reach at MP and you are going to start from FC. So FC, or that means you are going to deduct NIT from FC to arrive at MP. I'm so sorry. It is not NI2 to be deducted. It is NIT to be added. So make it very correction, please, students. Be careful. I repeat it. GDP MP is equal to NNP FC plus DEP plus NIT and minus NFIA. So you need to be very, very careful. Rectify it. This is very important, students. So this is your GNP MP FC plus DEP plus NIT minus NIT, and this is minus NFIA. So this NIT is going to be added here. This is going to be plus here. So remember this. This is to be added. Now next is GDP FC is equal to NNP MP plus DEP minus NFIA and minus NIT. So look the difference here. Here this is MP and we are starting from FC. So from FC we are going to move to MP. So there is a problem. That is why this NIT need to be added here. Whereas here we are arriving at FC and we are starting from MP, and thus we are deducting NIT. So there is a correction. So check it out. This is the correction you need to make. This you have to add. This is not minus. I am repeating it again and again. So make the correction accordingly, please, students. Then comes your GNPFC is equal to NNPFC plus DEP. Then GNPFC is equal to GNPMP minus NIT. And GDP, if simply written, it is understood that it is at factor cost. So remember that when nothing is written, that means this is at factor cost. And that is equal to NNP. NNP again it is FC. And minus NFIA plus DEP. GNPMP is equal to NDPFC plus DEP plus NFIA and plus NIT. So last but not the least is NNPFC is equal to GNPFC minus DEP is equal to national income. So these are the related aggregates. You have to be very, very careful about it. And please just see the second one. You need to rectify it. Again, I'm repeating it that this NIT here it is. You have to understand that from MP you are deducting NIT, but in the case of FC we have to add NIT, and that is how we reach at MP. So please make this correction in your notebook and try to understand the concept. That's all. Thank you. We will be proceeding with further related aggregates and how to calculate the national income in the next video. Till then, bye.